Look at that.
Oh my days. Is that fat?
It is.
Yup, it's brisket.
Yeah. It's like steak times 1,000.
Mouth.
Those fatty parts makes it.
It melts in your mouth. Are you lying?
Oh my gosh.
It is slow cooked for over 16 hours.
Yeah, I'd rather go.
Should we get the dog dancing? Yes, of course. Chef, get the dog.
Need Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. Let's just taste it right now.
Wow.
Wow.
You're ruthless.
Okay, we're gonna chop up this Texas Twinkie.
Oh my God. Oh my days, Queen Lizzie, I'm sorry.
I think I may have found brisket that's as good here in the UK as it is in Texas.
Mackies.
Oh, look at that.
Guys, come with us to our first Texas barbecue. Yum.
We don't get meat like this at home. That was the moment everything changed. British tourists arrived in America looking at enormous trays of brisket, ribs, sausage, and mac and cheese. The portions looked ridiculous. The smokers looked like submarines. And then they tasted the brisket. Suddenly, the jokes disappeared. One called it the best food he'd ever eaten. Another admitted, we just don't make food like this in England. So what exactly did America do to barbecue? Because this isn't simply meat on a grill. In America, barbecue can take 12 hours, and apparently that's just the beginning. The first thing these British visitors discovered was that American barbecue isn't the same as what many Europeans imagine when they hear the word barbecue. Grilling is fast. Barbecue is slow. Very slow. Smoke, low heat, seasoning, and patience transform tough cuts of meat into incredibly tender food. At Terry Black's in Texas, one visitor was shown briskets inside a smoker undergoing a roughly 12-hour cooking process. Then came the reveal. The brisket was sliced. It practically fell apart, and the British reaction was immediate. Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Brisket is king. But here's the funny part. Even Americans don't completely agree on what barbecue actually means. A HuffPost YouGov poll found that 55% of Americans said barbecue and grilling are different things. So the British tourists weren't just entering a food culture, they were entering an argument. Because America doesn't have one barbecue style, it has several. Texas is all about beef and brisket. Carolina is famous for pork. Memphis has its own legendary rib tradition. Kansas City is known for thick, sweet sauces. And Americans have very strong opinions about which one is best. In one YouGov poll, 22% of Americans chose Texas-style barbecue as their favorite regional style, making it the leading choice in that survey. And when YouGov asked Americans which states they associated with having good barbecue, Texas dominated with 73%. So when these tourists arrived in Texas, they had unknowingly walked into the heavyweight division of American barbecue. Then came another culture shock, the portions. One visitor looked at the food and basically asked, "Is this one person's meal?" Brisket, pork ribs, turkey, sausage, beans, mac and cheese, potato salad, corn, and somehow dessert. One tourist joked that the meal might send him bankrupt. Another admitted he needed to undo his belt after eating. The British had discovered an important American rule. If you can still see your plate, you probably haven't ordered enough. But here's something interesting. American barbecue isn't just about enormous amounts of meat. A YouGov survey of 16,599 Americans found that 65% included burgers on their ideal barbecue plate, while 49% chose hot dogs and 48% chose ribs. And the sides were almost as important. 62% chose potato salad, 55% chose corn on the cob, 52% chose baked beans. So barbecue isn't just meat. It's a whole event. And that's where the biggest culture shock appears. For many Americans, barbecue means family, friends, backyards, sports, summer, and holidays. A 2025 SSRS poll found that 58% of American adults usually celebrate July 4th with a picnic, party, or barbecue. That's why barbecue can feel so different to a European visitor. They're looking at food. Americans are often looking at a tradition. And these British tourists slowly began to understand it. The brisket wasn't just tender. The ribs weren't just smoky. Even foods they wouldn't normally choose started winning them over. One tourist tried smoked turkey and admitted it was the best turkey he'd ever eaten. Another tried cornbread and immediately wanted to make it at home. Another couldn't stop talking about the brisket. And that is the real transformation. They didn't necessarily come to America believing barbecue was bad. They simply didn't understand the obsession. Why wait 12 hours? Why stand in line? Why build giant smokers? Why travel across a state for a particular barbecue restaurant? Why argue about Texas, Memphis, Carolina, or Kansas City? Then they tasted it, and suddenly they understood. Because American barbecue isn't just about cooking meat, it's about taking something tough and giving it time. It's about smoke becoming flavor. It's about regional identity. It's about gathering around a table and eating far more than you planned. The tourists arrived asking, "What's the big deal about American barbecue?" They left with a completely different question. Why don't we have this back home? And maybe that's the funniest part. They came expecting an American food culture shock. Instead, America gave them something they genuinely wanted more of. They mocked the portions. They questioned the smokers. They didn't understand the obsession. Then the brisket hit the table. One bite later, America had won. So if you had to choose just one, Texas brisket, Carolina pulled pork, Memphis ribs, or Kansas City barbecue. Because after seeing these British tourists react, the real question isn't whether American barbecue is worth trying, it's which one are you trying first?